I think there's a version where we could see something really meta and out there.
Agreed.
To kind of be like, this is the MCU's first R-rated movie. We're going to take from one of the most popular Deadpool tropes. I wouldn't be surprised to see a kind of version of that. But I'm most excited to just see Ryan and Hugh together because that's going to be really fun.
First up, in previously on, the Last of Us trailer has dropped. It comes to HBO Max sometime in 2023, and this, of course, is an adaptation of the Naughty Dog Studios hit game, The Last of Us. It stars Pedro Pascal as Joel, the grizzled survivor of the fall of mankind, who takes under his wing Ellie, played by Bella Ramsey. You know her as Lyanna Mormont from Game of Thrones. And together they cross the ruined wasteland laden with clickers and other zombified creatures, not to mention killers of the human variety. This looks great. We will dive into The Last of Us as a property and as a story deeper in future episodes, but this made me very excited for this show.
It looks so good. I think they've done the hardest thing, which is to make it look different to The Walking Dead, which is basically the definitive zombie story of our generation. It looks brilliant. I love it got the balance right for me of the focus on the scope of the world, the relationship between Joel and Ellie, and then the teasers of the clickers. And that one kind of final...
Ooh, it looks really good.
Looks so good. I can't wait.
My one question is, we were talking about this in pre-pro. Yeah. For me, The Last of Us has the most devastating, ending in terms of a story beat that I've ever experienced in a video game. Others might disagree, but for me, it was really a gut punch ending. We'll discuss this more in depth in later episodes. And I wonder how much the season will hew to the story of the first game, if at all.
That, I think, is the biggest question. In my dream world, that first game is like a perfect one season of sequential story, of long-form storytelling. I think if they know what they're doing, and this team of people making this is really legit, I would hope that the first season ends the same way as the game. I think that would be you're going to win every Emmy. Everyone is going to be talking about it. Because really, millions of people played this game, and it was like a cultural smash. But there are still millions and millions of people who don't know how it ends. And I feel like that ending would be the episode everyone's talking about. And I feel like the world of The Last of Us is so expansive that if you wanted to continue on and do a second season, you could do it in many different ways, even following that ending. So I hope, fingers crossed, and we know people who played the game know what we're talking about. I hope that they stick to that, and I hope they find a way to land it, because the thing that's so hard about adapting video games, and we've had this conversation about video game adaptations, in those, especially in games like The Last of Us, you are the one making the choices. You are involved in the terrible things that are happening or the hard choices. So I'm really interested to see how they can translate that emotional involvement into a TV show where you're not actively making the characters do the things they have to do.
That's going to be the thing. And to your point about The Walking Dead, a thing that I think in terms of story that really potentially sets this series apart from The Walking Dead in an important way is it grapples directly with, are we trying to solve the problem of are we trying to cure this disease or not? The Walking Dead really never grappled with that. It was just the zombies are here and that's life. That's reality now. The Last of Us directly takes on the question of, if you could cure this, if you could save the world, should you, would you, and what is the cost of that? And so I'm very excited to see
what does it mean?
What does it mean? So I'm very excited about that. Okay, big Marvel news. Blade director Basim Tariq is apparently no longer associated with the project. This is from The Hollywood Reporter. Marvel said in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter, due to continued shift in our production schedule, Basim is no longer moving forward as director of Blade, but will remain an executive producer on the film. We appreciate Basim's talent and all the work he's done getting Blade to where it is. And then Tariq said in his own statement, it's been an honor working with the wonderful folks at Marvel. We were able to put together a killer cast and crew, eager to see where the director takes the next film. My takeaway from this is this happens. Production shift. People in this industry are usually scheduled back to back to back to back to back. And if one thing moves, it's like a Jenga tower. Other things have to move as well. And clearly they just couldn't get the schedule right.
Yeah. And we've seen this happen in Marvel movies before. Scott Derrickson was supposed to make Doctor Strange 2. It ended up being Sam Raimi. So yeah, I'll be very interested and excited to see what Basim does next. Made a bunch of great stuff like Mogul Mowgli. And I'll also be excited to see whoever ends up joining this movie.
A recent Empire article on Wakanda Forever confirms that exactly what we knew, Namor is a mutant.
We were right. I'm just saying it. I don't think a lot of people didn't want to say Namor was a mutant because mutant is like a very heavily weighted word. But we said it. We saw his little cute wings on the back of his legs. And in this Empire article, which by the way has the most unbelievable cover, this like teal and purple cover.
Oh my God.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, he's a mutant. I love to hear it.
And by the way, Namor, played by Tena Cuerta, the character design, the costuming, it's so good. It's great. I am very, very excited about this.
They also confirmed another thing that we talked about that we thought could be the possibility, which is the reason that Talokan, the space that Namor leads, is so furious at Wakanda is because by Wakanda announcing their existence to the world has now been made aware that there are multiple secret societies. And that has then put the Talokan in danger, and they are going to come out to protect themselves as the world tries to, we assume, find vibranium, find these secret societies. So we were right again, and I can't wait to see that, and I can't wait to see Namor. I love Namor so much.
He's great. A wonderful gray character. Always comes down, well, usually comes down on the right side, but does it in a way all his own. Meanwhile, speaking of secret places, Savage Land, Krakoa, where are you? Very excited to, I bet you we get another, we've already gotten some Savage Land sprinkles.
I think
I bet you we get more. I bet you we get more.
Yeah,
because vibranium is there. There is,
exactly.
In the
That's
comics.
One of the only other places. And I remember there was some kind of leak from a casting notification that said someone was going to Antarctica to look for vibranium. So we can say, I think we can say the Savage Land is probably going to show up, in which case I will just put it out there. That could be an X-Men space. That could be, we could find a Savage Land rogue or something iconic like that. So, and also now that Marvel, the thing that's really interesting about this to me is there is not like a huge Kevin Feige approved quote here about mutants. This is an aside that Empire just includes in the article. Yeah, he confirmed he's a mutant. Cool. That to me says that mutants are now just in the MCU.
They're here.
This is the way they're going to do it. And so I think we could see Wakanda Forever become a sort of lightning rod for mutants in the MCU. It's
a soft launch of mutants, which is very interesting. The question is, speaking of secret societies, are there, if mutants are just around, are there mutant secret societies like a secret school in upstate New York or the Hellfire Club, etc.?
Or an underground group of Morlocks.
Yes.
You know?
Speaking of mutants, in what is one of the most effective social media launches in recent memory, it was announced this week that Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is joining Deadpool 3, which comes out in 2024. Ryan Reynolds posted a announcement video on Twitter, which was very funny. Doesn't have any movie footage per se, but it's just kind of like a scene in which Ryan, not as Deadpool, and Hugh Jackman, kind of as Wolverine, give you an idea of the chemistry that these two characters are going to have in what is apparently a road movie of some sort.
Yeah, that's what we think it's going to be. So for a long time, Ryan had talked about how angry he was at Fox. In fact, there's a great BBC interview with Ali Plum where he says, on the poster to Deadpool 2, it says, from the studio that killed Wolverine. And Ryan was like, yeah, I'm really angry about that because my dream was to do a Deadpool Wolverine team up, and it looks like now that's going to happen. He had done a tweet last year where he'd said before Disney bought Fox, Deadpool 3 was going to be a road trip between Deadpool and Logan, Rashomon style, so like from all different perspectives. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we're going to get. Kevin Feige knows a good idea when he sees it. That's how the MCU is huge. And it is going to be R-rated, and it will be very interesting. You had a great thought in like when we were just chatting, which was like, if we see Logan as Old Man Logan, that leaves the door open for X-23 and kind of Daphne Keane.
Well, because here's the thing. It's apparent that they're going to have to cart Hugh Jackman off the field.
He's going to be playing Wolverine.
Before he leaves Wolverine. And, there's been a lot of talk about, do we recast this? What do we do? A lot of the Patrick Stewart, another one, these iconic actors who portrayed various mutants in the Fox versions of these films. Do we recast for a new generation, for new movies? I think that there's a lane if they want to keep Wolverine as Hugh Jackman. Mm-hmm. You go that route, right? Obviously, Old Man Logan died in whatever timeline that was, the 2021 timeline of Logan. But I think you keep that kind of archetype of a character, this grizzled, obviously older character who is more of a mentor figure. Think Wolverine in the X-Men comic book series where he's like the headmaster of the school, a more of a teacher figure who's been through the wars. And then for Wolverine proper, you could use Laura / X-23 from the comics. In other words, just take Daphne from the Logan movie.
She was good.
She was so good. Yeah. Make her actual Wolverine dealing with the Wolverine stuff of anger issues. What am I like? And you could have Logan like helping her through all that. And it would make sense too, because like, as we know in the comics, Logan's like 200 years old.
Yeah.
It had played a pivotal role in the early Super Soldier program. You could do that. You could still do that.
We know that that's going to be a big part of what Marvel's doing next with everyone they're bringing back. I think that would be so cool. And so they released this second video that pretends it's going to give you answers, but it doesn't. But one thing they do that's really interesting at the beginning is that Ryan has always talked about how he doesn't want to mess with Logan because it's like a perfect movie, which is true. So he basically was saying that Logan dies in 2029. That's the year of that movie. And this isn't going to touch that. So I like the idea that it would like technically be set before, which if it's in the MCU timeline could work. It's like 2026. This is some annoying thing that happened before. I will also just put it out there. I had always thought that the smartest thing that they could do when they did Deadpool 3, if they were going to do it R-rated, was do Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. I think with this announcement that Logan is going to be in there, I think there's a version of this where this is Deadpool Kills the Fox Universe. And they go full out meta, and it's Deadpool has to kill all the other versions of the X-Men before he can join
Colossus
the MCU. Or something like that. And he's fighting everyone.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Super. Who, by the way, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, I love the character in the comics, but that is one of my favorite castings of all time, and I would want them to bring her into the MCU so much. But I think there's a version where we could see something really meta and out there.
Agreed.
To kind of be like, this is the MCU's first R-rated movie. We're going to take from one of the most popular Deadpool tropes, which is also a popular Marvel trope with Punisher kills the Marvel Universe. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a kind of version of that. But I'm most excited to just see Ryan and Hugh together because that's going to be really fun.
Also, Logan, the comic that is based on, the Old Man Logan limited series by Mark Millar, Steve McNiven, is itself an alternate universe in the MCU, in accordance with, MCU timeline structure. Like they created a whole like dystopian, mini series, Old Man Hawkeye, other Old Man characters based on that that run. So it would make sense to do it that way. Just have that be a splinter universe.
Exactly. We're in the multiverse now, which,
Yeah.
Kevin Feige was even saying another thing recently, talking about how, could Wanda come back? Yeah, anything's possible in the multiverse.
She's back.
We knew that was happening.
Yeah,
Can
we
I just
knew
say?
that.
But Kevin, thank you for confirming it. But the other thing I'll say, just when you said it, it's so funny. I didn't even really remember this just till you brought up the comic. But brilliant Steve McNiven art in Old Man Logan. That Old Man Logan is a road trip comic across this destroyed version of America. So maybe there's some world where Deadpool has to become a part of that. It would be so fun to have that kind of Ryan Reynolds Deadpool performance against that dark, gritty Old Man Logan world. And it's extra funny because people our age will remember this, and people who've seen all the Wolverine movies. But Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds have been in an X-Men movie before when
X-Men
Ryan Reynolds
Origins
first
Wolverine.
ever played Deadpool, but who was
Yeah.
I think credited as Weapon X in that movie, and his mouth was sewn shut, and it was everyone was how could you do that to Deadpool? He's a merc with a mouth. So this is really funny because it's a reunion of sorts, but it's obviously going to be a kind of rectification of that movie that not a lot of people like, but is actually very fun if you watch it.
Screenplay X-Men Origins Wolverine, screenplay by director Gavin Hood and Skip Woods and Game of Thrones co-showrunner David Benioff.
It's all connected,
It's
baby.
all coming together.